Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, guys. I'm your host, Brett McCullum, and I'm here today with Sean Woodruff. And today we're going to be talking about how Sean was able to transition from the military to becoming a full-time real estate investor. Guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 5X their businesses, to allow them to build the business they've always wanted and to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. Sean, without further ado, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Mr. Brett.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to talk to you about, I know we're going to talk a lot, but we're going to really try to focus on, you went from being full, like you were in the military. What branch were you in?
Army.
You're in the Army. Yeah, so you went from Army to becoming a full-time real estate investor, right?
Yes, sir.
Dude, that's super cool. Before we kind of, get into all the meat and potatoes of everything, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? Where'd you come from? Catch us up to speed, man.
My name's Sean Woodruff. I'm from Ocala, Florida, representing. I've always wanted to, join the military, so it was no surprise that this is where I found myself. Spent pretty much most of my young adult life there, 8 years. When I got married right before I was getting out, hence kind of the reason I got out. Wife was like, "I'm not getting married unless you get out," kind of deal, and I was like, "Well, sounds like a plan." She just kind of introduced me to a better way of thinking, better way of life. There's more for me out there to become someone else other than just a soldier. Like I've done. I made my childhood dream come true. Now it's time to make the adult dream come true and chase that. And that's what led me to get out. That's what led me to real estate investing in the first place. Just that real mature, hey, Sean, it's time to grow up into something different. That came from the wife, and I've been appreciative of it ever since.
Yeah, love it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, did you join like right out of high school, or what was that?
Yep, signed papers. My dad had to sign off for me. I was 17 at the time, right out of high school. Right after I graduated, within like 2, maybe 3 weeks, straight off boot camp.
Wow. And where did you go to boot camp?
I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Home of the artillery.
Did you have any deployments? Like what?
No, never jumped around on any deployments. I guess that's one of the things that, born, I guess, too little, too late. If I have any sort of regret, it's that, the unit just never got called up for deployment. Anytime they got called up, it got canceled, moved back, anything like that. And just, felt like I was kind of wasting away, not doing what it was I wanted. And I think that's kind of what pushed me to like, okay, along with my wife, like it's time to go do something else. Whatever you're chasing here is not meant for you. There's something else out there.
Were you stationed at one base the whole time, or what was that like?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
No, I've definitely been around a few places. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, a nice Fort Sill for basic. I was in Fort Huachuca, Arizona for quite a long time of my career. After that, moved over to Camp Blanding Joint Training Center. After spending some time there, I was a UAV mechanic and crew chief. I switched units. We had a special forces unit right next door to us, and I was like, young Sean. I was like, oh my God, those guys are my heroes. I want to be one of those guys. Yeah. So, I asked for a line item switch, like, hey, send me over there, and got over there. Went got jump qualified, like all cool stuff. And after just a few years over there, that's kind of when I met the wife and decided there's something else out there for me. And got out.
You meet your wife? You met her at Fort Benning? Is that what you said?
No, I met her in Gainesville, Florida. She was going to the University of Florida. We kind of had some mutual friends kind of deal, and that's how I met her.
Very cool. So you were on leave or something, or what?
Yes, I was just kind of down, chilling around in Gainesville, Florida at the time, and just instant click. We never really. She's from Brazil. I guess we didn't really plan on falling in love. Yeah, bom dia. Yeah, definitely. Some of the first words I learned in Portuguese. Yeah, never planned on it. I think that just happened very organically. I was like, oh, we're going to show you the U.S. before you have to go back to Brazil. Ended up catching COVID together, and then when we right when it started off, we caught it. Ended up, kind of sheltering in place together. Didn't want to get anyone else sick, and we're just in love. She took care of me, took care of her, and yeah, all said and done after that, brother. All said and done.
Or she trapped you, probably, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Domesticated instantly.
There you go. Take the wild out of you, right? All right. How did you get? So you're in the military, 8 years. How did you get into real estate?
Just got tired of the base housing, even when it was like off base housing, and I was renting someplace. Just got tired of that, Like I said, I was already kind of mentally gearing up to get out. Excuse me, I'm a little stuffy today. My wife was like, "Oh, did you get a VA loan or something like that?" Because I was telling her about it, and she was like, "How come you haven't used it yet? To buy a property invest, you know what I mean?" And so that's exactly what we did. We bought it. I turned one of the rooms into an Airbnb, a standalone Airbnb. It was a little awkward, but got used to it. And then I realized, like, oh man, this one room more than pays my mortgage. Like, how much good could this do if I did the other two rooms? Airbnb'd out the whole thing. Learned a lot about Airbnb on the way and being a host and how to do down to the decor. And it was phenomenal, to the point that when I was getting ready to get out, I didn't worry about not being able to pay my bills at the bare minimum, which allowed me to completely focus down on being a real estate investor. Not gonna lie, it was really tough, I had to drive Uber for a while on the sides, like during the weekends I'll do that. But all in all, like, went from full-time military to just full-time real estate investor. Had to get a little side gig, but after I realized I was wasting my time, straight in, dive head first.
Yeah, that's a very military thing for you to do, though. That tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it well.
You started Airbnb. It was your personal home, and you turned that into an Airbnb. Where was that at the time?
That was actually right there in Gainesville, Florida. We were looking around because the idea was that we wanted to turn this into a rental, and it was getting crazy. We were losing homes before we even put an offer in, and we found this one. It was a perfect 3-3. All the bedrooms were like an in-suite bed and bathroom.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And it was perfect. It seemed like God was smacking us in the face, like, this is the one for you. We put in the offer, and they immediately accepted it. And we kind of had it a little strategic, like, it was right near the interstate, but really close to one of the major hospitals that get a lot of traveling nurses. So it was definitely a semi-strategic buy when we got it. We didn't just predict it that it would do better than we even expected. That's kind of been our bread and butter ever since.
Yeah.
Just that
So
one.
you jumped right into that. That's pretty cool that like a lot of people they progress toward Airbnb eventually, right? Like you just jumped right into that, which is cool. And then you made a comment that you were managing Airbnbs. So am I reading that right? That's for other people?
Yes, we started to do co-host managing for a few other people's Airbnbs. Some people up in Jacksonville that were good friends of mine from the military. They would go on deployments, and I'd be like, yeah, man, I got you. Manage theirs, manage some. It was really just a lot of veterans, honestly, that I connected with, because it's just an easy connection we have. After a while, a lot of temporary managing. Kind of got away from managing other people's Airbnbs, realized that there's a certain level of control I need to make things perfect and to solve issues as quick as humanly possible that I just can't get if I'm not the owner of the property. And then made me realize, okay, hey, there's a million other facets of real estate investing and different ways to do this. Like, okay, like how do I get my money up? How do I do this? How do I do this? I wanna quadruple my money this year. Um, it's time to take the next big leap forward.
Yeah. All right. So how long did that run go for? Like
That run, I think that ran for just over a year. I was managing some of the other people's Airbnbs.
right.
And when I had enough of those, that's when I stopped doing the Ubering on the side, just because like that was a killer, man. That was a whole bunch of my time that I realized I was like, I know this time could be spent productively somewhere else. And
Yeah.
so about a year, and then I stopped taking those on. Started trying to focus down on other things.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked a little bit off camera, kind of like some of the things you got in yourself. So you started it looked like after like the Airbnb's going, and probably during, I would imagine, you started really thinking about what else is possible for me. What was next? Like, what were you starting to get into? Like, what happened next?
So this next part, I guess, was like was a massive learning curve issue. We started looking at taking classes for tax liens and tax deeds investing, buying properties at auction for tax deeds, and
Yeah.
spent a lot of money taking courses there. Realized that even with those courses, we made some mistakes. Realized a lot of some of it was a money grab. A lot of it was good information, but we were left wanting at the end of it. And we started looking at the auctions at the county websites, and realized that, hey, we don't have capital to really be bidding. So we went out, talked to a few buddies of mine, created a little company that we pooled some money together to start investing. Even the money that we could pool together, it just wasn't enough for us to win any of these properties at auction. And we were like, okay, well, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And we got some piece of advice that, like, hey, go join your local real estate investor group. Go look on Facebook, go look on Instagram, type in your city, type in real estate investor. And yeah, something popped up. Showed up to the morning meetings. After a few times of the morning meetings, talked to definitely some very knowledgeable gurus that kind of really had their stuff together. And they helped point us in the right direction, kind of hold the hand a little bit. And we ended up buying the first flip property. Nothing about flipping.
Okay.
It was me managing it for also my two friends. who were part of the company at the time. Band split up after that, so it's just a solo driver here now. But yeah, with all of that, the real difficulty came that some family stuff was happening back in Brazil. My wife and I actually had to go to Brazil that entire next following year, back and forth, U.S. Brazil, U.S. Brazil, U.S. Brazil. So we were kind of really on the fire of how are we going to manage this flip and manage the work and get the next deal if we're back and forth to here in Brazil. And it was a crazy ride on that first one. Even the second one right after that, same thing, still going back and forth between here and Brazil.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah. Let me back up a little bit because I think people need to hear what that was. So you're managing these Airbnbs, and then like something happens and you're looking at tax auctions and tax detail and this taking courses, taking classes, and it just, I imagine that faucet that you mentioned earlier was just wide open, just trying to like consume as much information as you could, you know. What was, because I mean you were focused heavily on the auction side of things. Was that always the goal to buy the auction to inevitably flip, or was it inevitably what was the to have another Airbnb? What was at the time when you first started looking at that? What was the intention?
The full intention was to buy that auction to flip it. Was the absolute full intention. Me and the other investors, um, we obviously wanted to get our money back within a certain time frame. So it was to buy, to flip, and then we realized that our access to capital was not viable to go do this option. That's just money you had to have in your pocket at all times. So we ran into a very common problem. How do I get money for this? I don't have enough money for this.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, okay, so now that we're caught up to speed now, Sean, you got your first house to flip. You probably knocked it out of the park, made $1 million on it. You were a pro right out of the gate, right?
Not even in
What?
the slightest.
It's almost like I set you up for
that. Not even in the slightest, man. You learn a lot through your failures more than you learn through your wins. I will definitely say that. It was not a knockout of the park. It was definitely a big chop down at the knees on that first one. It's funny that I got the second flip. I bought, rehabbed, sold the second flip long before I even got done with the first one. The first one was just a big hang up. Yeah. And I held on that learning lesson for a very long time. I think the Lord just said, "Hey, Sean, there's still some more you need to learn here before this fire's done on you."
Yeah, that's interesting. It's because I say that to say, like, for a lot of people that might be listening, that they're not, they're on their journey and they're on, whatever path they're on, and they don't have anything yet, or maybe they do. I don't know. But the lessons of going through and making those mistakes, the things that you don't know, stuff like that. Going through that it's kind of almost like a rite of passage almost.
Yeah.
But that's super interesting. So you did that. And now, I mean, what is like today? Like, Sean, what are you doing now? Like, so are you still managing Airbnbs? Are you still like, what is that world?
So still doing the Airbnbs. That's kind of more of like a side project. Like, hey, that pays the bills. It's the bread and butter. My focus turned to flips. And then it also turned into wholesales, learning how to the wholesale because, hey, I might not always have capital or access to capital or capital to support my access to capital because money costs money. Um, how can I use my time efficiently to produce more income and
Right.
learn how to be a better problem solver at the end of the day? Started getting into wholesale, realized that being specifically a wholesaler wasn't quite my forte. But it definitely helped me learn how to talk to people, where I was
Mhm.
very weak, not very social. Grew up an only child, military, just everything was very direct. And I didn't have the gift of the gab, that slight touch, the way with people. And that's something I had to force myself to learn the entire time. But now it's looking at it, when I approach a subject now, I'm primarily looking to do fix and flips. It's what I got very good at here recently. And wholesale is just a tool that I use to solve a situation. Um, that's kind of how I approach it. I got my toolbox together. Fix and flip is one of my main tools that I use to solve a problem
Right.
for the seller. If the seller has a problem to begin with.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me again, let you said there's a lot that you said there that maybe
Mhm.
somebody didn't catch. Let's back it up a little bit. Airbnb pays the bills, the bread and butter, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
then and then you've got your fix and flip. Now you've got the other tool with wholesaling. The most successful people I've talked to, the people that I've interviewed, they all have multiple, rods in the fire. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
have multiple things that they've got going, but everybody has something that's consistent that they've got in the background that's running. And it sounds like you've got some consistency, at least in the Airbnb thing, that allows you to be able to, you know, build what you're building with your fix and flips. And now you've got the other tool and with the wholesale. I people hear me say this a lot. You when you're wholesaling, you cherry pick the best, sell the rest,
Yep.
right? Um, and that's been, now that you have that tool in your belt, you got so you're on this path, man, right? And you can just see it just start, it's taking its shape, and you've got consistency in one place. You're building on it with, you're just building, blocks, to success on it. And it's if you rewind it back and listen to what you said, like, people have a path that they can watch this and listen to and go, wow, that's something that speaks to me, and I can follow. Maybe it's not Airbnb, but
Mhm.
they can look at and say, these are clear, tangible steps that Sean took, and is taking to build, the success journey you're on. So that's super cool, man. I'm really proud of you. I think that's a really a powerful thing that you've been able to do. Um, so you're doing now. So you've got the Airbnb. You're flipping houses. How are you? I'm curious how you're doing it, because everybody has a little bit of a unique way that they
Mhm.
like. Um, when it comes to sourcing their deals. What's your preferred method today?
I got two primary preferred methods, I would say. Realizing that auctions were not as great as they seem, that people get a little too competitive, started blowing the place out of the water kind of deal. Um, I started looking up first source. That was my free source, was looking at all the properties that are going to tax deed auction or foreclosure auction or have liens on the properties, and I will pull up those lists and then I will skip trace some numbers and some names. I'll just get the cold calling. That's a very effective form of free leads. Um, Not necessarily warm. You run into a lot of issues trying to get a hold of people. Another very successful way is, I think, a very common one is our pay per lead service. And there's a lot of good pay per
Yeah.
lead services out there, and it's nice. I can focus in on a specific area if I wanted to. I can go broad, um, and they're quality warm to hot leads. Like these people actively filled out, and they are actively seeking to some degree to wanting to sell their property.
So you say more direct to seller then?
Yeah,
Um,
very direct to seller.
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's, in my opinion, direct to seller is always the best uh,
Mhm.
path, right? But that's super cool to hear. So you've got your direct to seller. You're doing deals right now. you're on the, you're taking this trajectory, steps are moving forward. I guess before kind of we wrap things up, I want to know, for the experience. I mean, if you allow yourself, if you're experienced, somewhere in the middle, or a beginner, there's
Hmm.
always something that we can learn from each other, right? Um,
Absolutely.
Maybe share one or two things that, like, hey, this is something I went through and I learned, that you think might be helpful for our audience.
That is a very loaded question,
Yeah.
because I've learned a plethora of information, and I know that I still have only scratched the surface of what there is to learn. I think the two biggest things. Um, One, that whole mind killer of that, oh, I need capital, is absolutely wrong. It is false. And you're lying to yourself and you don't even know it. There's plenty of people out there. There's hard money lenders. There's always a way to get in, and you don't need hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to start something like this. That's a very common misconception. Um, and then two, yeah, so it's very loaded. Uh, you, it's going to be very scary at first because you might be taking on a lot of debt for a project that just seems really daunting, and you don't know who to turn to, where to turn to. And at the end of the day, like, there's people out there who've done this very same thing. You know, um, they're out there, and like I said, I went on Facebook and I found a whole group full of, like, to me they were real estate Jesus. They knew everything and that they could help them. And the last thing they want to see is somebody to fall on their feet when they get out there. Go and
Right.
connect with those people, especially before you make a move. Because, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. Just that brief interaction of going to meet these people, talking to them, might save you from making a very bad decision, and also put yourself in a position to make really good decisions.
Right.
Partner up, whatever it is. Ask for coaching. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for
Community.
advice. Yeah, community. Always, always. There's your network is directly related to your net worth. I'm pretty sure you heard that a million and one times before. Um, yeah, start networking before you even make a move, if that's
Yeah, we're
necessary.
not we're not meant to do life in isolation, right? We need people around us, and you
Not at
know,
all.
especially if you can figure out a way to surround yourself with people that are like-minded like you, that that understand the journey you're on, right? That's really cool.
Hmm.
Super powerful. Well, man, Sean, I appreciate you joining us today, on the show. Is If there's anything, like, any way people want to be able to maybe get in touch with you, tell us about that, or if there's something something you're working on, you want to talk about, or where should people go to check you out?
So this is actually a very recent thing. I've talked to my wife Gabriella about our social media presence. I got to put myself out there because, yeah, there are people out there that might be trying to start the same journey or on the same journey, that you want to connect, you want to talk, you want to ask for advice. I'm always free. I'm always open. It's the best thing I could give. And so right now we're in the process of expanding our social media presence, and you can look us up on Instagram, Virtuous Deeds LLC. You can find me there. I believe I attached my personal Facebook link to Virtuous Deeds slash my Sean Woodruff as well. That's a good way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will be expanding. So not everything I've done so far will be on there, but it will be a good, easy way to reach out to me if someone is looking to make that connection.
Dude, I love it, man. Well,
Appreciate it.
you heard it here, guys. Reach out to Sean if you want to connect and talk with him. He'd be happy to. It sounds like he's happy to have this conversation. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks again so much for joining us on today's episode. Make sure to subscribe and learn more about Investor Fuel, and we will talk to you guys later on. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.